Hello and welcome. Welcome. Today we're talking about accountants. Such an important subject and it's something that is really, really close to my heart. Why? Many reasons. And I will explain as I go along. What I want you to understand is a bit of disclaimer before I start. So first of all, there are always good accountants and bad accountants. And when I'm not being very nice talking about some accountants, it's only the bad ones, right? I do partner with good ones. I don't partner with the bad ones, but they exist. So this video will be about picking your accountant, picking the right one for you, and some information that you really want to find out, really want to get into before you engage with a new accountant. Now, what I'm seeing with a lot of people who come to me for help is they think they are ready to change an accountant. They know something isn't right, something isn't working, but at the same time, they are too scared to actually go and do something about it, to go and proactively look for a new accountant. Mainly because they don't know what they are looking for, they don't know what they need to be asking for. So that almost stops them. One of my clients said to me, for them, it's the fear of what if I end up actually in a worse place? What if I end up with an accountant that is even worse than the one I've got at the moment? And a lot of people are just deciding that it's better to stay where they are and not to move to another accountant. I've heard stories, not even stories, things from my clients or from people that I spoke to who told me that, they've changed from a small accountant to a big accountant, the fees doubled or tripled, but the impact on their business was none. So now they are looking, right, what is right for me, what is wrong? So this video is basically to help you out. I'm gonna be giving you some hints and tips about how to move an accountant, how to do it right, what to look out for, and I've decided to split it into two parts. So this part is gonna be about picking the right accountant for you, pretty much, and then the second part is gonna be about signs that it's a time for you to start looking for a new accountant. And that's going to be a separate video next week. This week is all about how to pick the right accountant for you. What questions do you need to ask your accountant? What questions do you need to ask yourself? But also in terms of, who do you need as an accountant? Who would be the best support for you, and what will they help you with? And what will they not help you with? Because that's another very important one. Now, for those who know me, my name is Alexandra, and I am an accountant. Now, I don't run a practice as such, so I don't do things that most accountants do, which is year-end, month-end, processing stuff, doing payroll, doing bookkeeping, doing VAT returns. I don't do any of it. Why? Because my choice was not to do it. My aim, my passion, and what I want to do is help businesses grow and help business owners pay themselves more. And doing the numbers just doesn't light me up, let's face it. So very conscious decision not to go down the practice route for me, because I am better at different things. And my own accountant is good at doing my numbers for me. Okay. Let's crack on. Oh, by the way, before I start, I just wanted to say thank you to Sarah, who sent me a message asking me about this stuff, because it prompted me to record this video a bit sooner and, put it at the top of my priority list for videos rather than something else. So if you have got questions, if you would like me to answer anything for you, drop me a DM, drop me a message, let me know what you would like me to tell you, what you would like me to teach you, and I'm more than happy to record a video on it for you. Okay, let's crack on. So how to pick the right accountant for you. What do you need to know? What questions do you need to ask yourself and the accountant before you say yes and before you sign on a dotted line? Okay, so the first thing would be, do you feel like you can talk to your accountant about anything, the new one, the one that you're about to sign up with? Do you feel like you can talk to them about anything? Especially when it comes to business. Money is a very personal subject for so many people. And talking about money issues, talking about problems with money, but also talking about good things with money can be quite stressful. So the main thing for me when I'm speaking to my clients or when I'm speaking to people about their accountant is relationship with the accountant. Make sure that it's someone that you can actually be really honest with. Make sure that it's someone who you think highly of, because then you will take their views on board. Make sure it's someone you can discuss things with, because it will be a case of discussing different options, different opinions, different outcomes for you. And you need to be sure that you're able to take feedback from them, but you're also able to give them feedback when you're working together. Otherwise, it's just never going to work in your favor. Now, you need to remember one thing. Accountant is taking your monthly fee, regardless if you're being successful in business, regardless if they saved you money on tax, they will still take their fee because you've signed up to it, because they will do the compliance stuff that they do. You want to make sure that your relationship with accountant is giving you a benefit as well. And that's something that a lot of people miss. A lot of business owners just don't think about it at all. And it's crucial to consider. Okay, the second thing that you want to think about is, are they truly professional? And what if things go wrong? Now, this is probably a good time to explain to you that there are qualified accountants and that there are people who are calling themselves accountant, but they are not qualified. Now, when someone is qualified, for example, a chartered accountant with different accountancy bodies, and I'm talking about UK here, predominantly about UK, make sure that they are chartered, they are registered, and there is a professional body that is overlooking what they do. So if they are a member of such a body, they need to make sure that they complete their annual CPD. They need to make sure they sign the code of ethics. And if they do something wrong, then they are held responsible by the body. That's quite important. A lot of people can call themselves an accountant without being a member of such a body. And then if things go wrong, you've got nowhere to go to. You've got nowhere to complain. There's nothing you can do about it. Sadly, what I'm seeing more and more often is those people who call themselves accountants because they did the books for their uncle for 5 years. They give bad advice. They give wrong advice to business owners, and it costs the business owner money at the end. So look after yourself first. Make sure that whoever you're going to sign up with, they are a true, proper professional. Do your due diligence. Otherwise, it just will cost you money. Very likely it will cost you money. Okay. The third thing is, do they keep up to date with technology? Now, I could tell you some horror stories when I've been talking to my clients and they tell me, oh, I just give a shoebox full of receipts to my accountant once a year, and they just do their magic. No. If your accountant does not operate on a system that is either Xero, QuickBooks, Free Agent, something that is in the cloud, something that is up to date with technology at the moment, stay away. Honestly, stay away. You want to make sure that your accountant is helping you to run your business in the most efficient way. And having a system is efficient. It's much more efficient than doing it in Excel, especially when the size of the business is already quite substantial. If you're growing or if you're thinking about scaling, you want to make sure that the foundations are right. And you want to make sure that at the start, you're starting with the right things in place, which your financial system should be one of them. The number 4 is, is their knowledge up to date? What I very often look for is, do they actually educate people on, if they use social media, do they educate people on their social media? If they've got an email list, do they educate people on their email list? Do they tell them, oh, look out for this, this has happened. We've just, if you're in the UK, you will know I'm recording this on the 15th of March, I think, or no, 17th of March, sorry. But you would have expected an email from your accountant to say, this is what's happened in the budget this week. Yeah, you would expect to see something from them. If they are not giving you this information, then I would be thinking, right, okay, why not? Why not? What's happening? Going back to my previous point about them being a professional, if they are part of a member of a body, they will almost be forced to keep on top of everything. If they are not, and there's no pressure on them. And again, look out for yourself. Okay, number 5, what services do they offer as an accountant? And the reason I'm asking for this one, and the reason I want to know this one, is depending on what your business is, how your business operates, you want to make sure that the accountant you're about to pick, they can support you and they can also support your growth at the same time. So for example, if at the moment you are you're not requiring payroll, but you're thinking about employing someone very soon, make sure that the accountant you are about to sign up with, they can do payroll for you. Some accountants outsource it, which is fine as well, not ideal, but fine. But some accountants don't even touch it. So you want to make sure you sign up with someone who's already in the place that you want to get to. Make sure that, you know, the bookkeeping they can do for you. Some accountants don't do bookkeeping, you would be surprised, but they don't. Just be very clear about what your expectations are when it comes to accountancy. What are you looking to get from your accountant, and what the accountant is actually offering when it comes to their services. You really don't want to go down the route where you've built a relationship with accountant, you work well together, and then as you grow and scale your business, they just cannot support you and you have to move. You don't want to get there. Okay. Number 6, expectations and boundaries. Speak to your accountant or your future accountant, so someone who you're considering, speak about what's going to happen if you need information from them. How proactive are they? Are they reactive maybe, which never works in the business? How often they update things for you. So if the accountant is telling you, I'm going to update your data after your year end, run for a mile, right? You want to make sure that your accountant is keeping the information up to date as much as they can. Something that I hugely advocate with my clients is making sure that they set the deadlines with their accountants. So for example, I, as a business owner, need to provide you all the information, all the receipts by X day of the month. And by Y day of the month, you will give me my full reports. My bookkeeping will be all done. Everything will be reconciled. And I will be able to look at my numbers and see what income I've made, what profit I've made, and how does it all look like. Very often people just don't miss it. People miss it. People don't think about it. As business owners, if you don't have this financial background, it probably doesn't matter to you that much unless you start working with me, because then I'm asking you questions and you're like, oh, my accountant is not giving it to me. How can I do it? What can I do? So having those clear boundaries from the very start will make the relationship so much better and so much easier, because you will not get frustrated and annoyed that things are not getting done. It's very difficult to enforce the boundaries. You know, if you've been with an accountant for a few years now and never had those boundaries in place. If you want to have them in place, it's easier to do it from scratch when you're starting with someone new. Just make sure you do it. Okay, number 7, do they have experience with your industry? Oh, this is a bugbear of mine, to be honest, because very often accountants, what they do, they can serve many different types of industries. And very rarely accountants decide to niche down properly to a specific sector or a specific industry only. And I kind of get it, because compliance stuff that they do, it's very similar across the board, across all the different industries. But where my problem is, the way they support a client is different. So if they support a coach, it will be different to if they support an agency, marketing agency. If they support an a marketing agency, it will be different if they support a plumber, you know, or a plumbing company. There are different things that you need to understand when you run those businesses. And accountants very often just forget about it. And they say, oh, I can serve anyone and everyone. So if you want to start working with a new accountant, ask them for who is your client. Give me some testimonials. Show me the proof that you've worked with people in my industry and that you understand my business model and how it operates. You don't want the accountant to be testing on you. You want to make sure you're working with someone who knows what they are doing. Next one. Number 8, what are you getting for your money? Be clear. Now, if the accountant sends you a proposal, which they will normally do with a price, make sure that you list everything that they will be charging you for. Make sure it's very specific and not very vague, because then again, it's very difficult for you to compare between 2 or 3 different offers from different accountants, and it's very difficult to enforce certain things from the accountant, or to find your corner if you have to, because it's too vague. So make sure the details are in there and you know exactly what to expect from your accountant, when, in what form. Will they do your annual confirmation statement? Will they do your will they hold your kind of address for HMRC? Small things, but they all actually matter. Will they help you with cash flow forecasting? Will they not? Will they review your accounts with you? Will they meet with you monthly, quarterly, annually? Know all of this. It will save you so much stress and so much hassle later down the line. Number 9, will you be able to get hold of them? And now I'm laughing when I'm talking about this one, because for me, it's unbelievable how difficult it is to get hold of an accountant. Make sure that you know how to communicate with them. So what are the timelines to reply to you? And how do you get them? Is it by email? Is there a platform that they are using? Do they use WhatsApp? There are different means of communication, which is absolutely fine, as long as you are both clear that 1, this is the channel you're going to be using, and 2, this is the response time you can expect. With a lot of bad accountants, what I was seeing is, because their fees are quite low, quite squeezed per client, they almost allocate a time slot for a client. If you've got a question to them and you send it to them on a Monday, but your slot is on a Friday, then you're waiting 5 days for a reply. And that's quite tough, especially when you're waiting for something that you really need and they are not getting back to you. So make sure that you understand how quickly will they get back to you. Even if it's just saying, okay, I'll look into it for you, give me 24 hours or give me 48 hours, at least you've got something. Now, accountants are really bad for communication, and they tend to ignore emails, or they tend to ignore messages, or even worse, they will send you a link to HMRC's website. Now, come on. If it was the solution for you, then you would be looking for it. You would Google it yourself, right? And go onto HMRC's website yourself. That's not why you're engaging with an accountant. You want them to explain it to you in the terms that you will understand, and not in HMRC's language. That's not the point. Okay. Final one, number 10. The accountants that will tell you stop spending money or can't spend that money. Even though I'm an accountant as well, my methodology and my mantra is, how can I spend that money? So if the client comes to me and talks to me about, I want to invest in this, we look into how can we do it. Most accountants, what they will do is they will say, no, stop, you don't have enough. Okay. So accountants look into the history and they only see what the numbers are already telling them in terms of what's happened. Some accountants will look into the future with you. And this is what you want. You want an accountant who will look into the future with you and tell you, okay, this is what you need to do to be able to afford that. Most accountants don't. And that's why, that's where I come in. That's what I do with my clients. We look into the future. We plan for future. We plan for what can happen in business. Now, a lot of people, so that were the 10 things. I'll just quickly recap 10 things that you really want to ask yourself and ask your accountant before you engage with someone new. A lot of people that I speak to, they are expecting their accountants to do things like pricing with them, cash flow forecasting, budgeting. Most accountants don't. And majority of them don't do it because their fee doesn't allow them to do it. As I said before, the fee is really, really tight, really squeezed. Accountants tend to have a lot of clients at a very low fee, so they don't have time. They just don't have time to understand every of their clients and to give them the support that they need. Accountants very often, It's a brutal reality, but it is how it is. They don't do it for themselves. They don't do their pricing properly. They don't do their cash flow forecasting properly. Majority of them don't do it because they don't have time, not because they don't know how to do it. But if they don't do it for themselves, how can you expect them to do it with their clients? It's just not going to happen. So this is stuff that, if you need help with your pricing, if you need help with your managing your money better, if you need help with your cash flow forecasting, you're not looking really for an accountant. You're looking for a money coach, business money coach, someone who can help you with this, but someone who has got the financial background in place, and they will give you the right advice at the same time. So I would strongly discourage you from going and asking a normal business coach for a pricing advice or a cash flow advice or a money management advice, because they will give you information that they've either got from the books or they've read somewhere or they've heard somewhere, and they are probably not very good with numbers. You need someone who's good with numbers, comfortable with numbers, and who sees through the numbers to be able to give you the advice that you want. Okay. Final thing, why I don't recommend an accountant to my clients. Now, majority of people who work with me, they will change their accountants very, very quickly. I think my record was 9 months. When I started working with a client, they lasted 9 months with their accountant before they changed, because there was still this feeling of, let's hope it will work out. When I work with people, with clients, they get really empowered when it comes to money. They start understanding things. They are braver when it comes to asking questions. They are just getting it. And by getting it, they are asking more questions to their accountant. So accountants really need to up their game very quickly, because people are getting better and better. Business owners are getting better and better when it comes to money in business, and that just lights me up. Okay, so why I don't recommend an accountant for my clients? Simply because it depends who is the best person for you. I've given you 10 things to look into, and the most important one for me is the relationship with your accountant. So if I give you one name and you don't click, there's no point really. I tend to give my clients 3 or 4 different names, and then they can have a conversation with them, they can chat to them, they can see if there's the relationship that they can build together, or if not. Some accountants only work with limited companies. Some accountants work with sole traders. So that's another thing to consider. There are accountants who are very, very cheap and will not touch bookkeeping and will only do certain things. And there are accountants who will give you the whole package. So for me to give my clients an answer and tell them you need this accountant, that wouldn't be right. I wouldn't be doing my clients any service by telling them you have to go with this person or you should go with this person. Okay, I think that's us done. I think that's everything when it comes to accountants and how to pick your accountant for future. Now, next time I'm gonna be talking about signs that you have to look for a new accountant because you've outgrown your current one. And that's gonna be a really good subject as well. So tune in, give me a like, give me a subscription if you like it, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.